episode for me because I'm coming up on my 10th wedding anniversary with my husband, who is actually my esteemed powerhouse joining me for today. So this is going to be a very candid conversation. We did not rehearse this. We did not go over questions in advance of this interview. But I thought this would be something really cool to do because, one, we're both in complementary sectors. So I do packaging and project execution for health, beauty, and wellness brands. And my husband, Brandon, is the CEO of Pallet Pros, which is a pallet distribution company in Atlanta. So products, packaging, and pallets go together. And with both of us celebrating our 10 years of marriage, I thought it would also be cool to highlight the intersection of marriage, business, and also products and packaging and pallets. And so, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you give a warm welcome to my husband, my number one fan, Brandon. So, hey, babe.
Thank you for having me today, baby. I appreciate it. You look absolutely stunning, as always, today. How you doing today?
I'm good. It's been a really good day for us because we took some dope anniversary pictures.
Absolutely.
We're coming up on 10 years of marriage. Like, it's going by really fast. And the fact that we're both in full-time entrepreneurs and maintaining our household, maintaining our sanity, building out two businesses. Like, it's so cool to have you on this side to join me for this conversation.
Well, I'm glad I was able to finally lock in with you on the podcast. Your schedule is, so busy. I had to fit into your schedule.
Y'all see how he doing.
Mrs. CEO, Miss Boss Lady.
Hey, so
we live in the same house, and I had to get on her schedule.
Y'all see how he trying to.
But I'm happy to be here.
Listen, we're both busy, and at the end of the day, we do make time for each other, but it's good to have him on this side of the table with me for an intentional conversation, and I'm so glad he's here. So without further ado, let me have my bae, my hubs, my number one fan and my number one supporter to share a little bit about yourself and how you got into the beautiful world of pallets.
All right. Well, Megan did a wonderful introduction there. My name is Brandon Gamble. I'm the CEO of Pallet Pros, which is a pallet distribution company servicing Cobb County, which is Metro Atlanta, essentially. And we supply pallets as well as other warehouse materials to businesses within Cobb County. I'm also the CEO of Pallet Pros Academy, which is a coaching platform where we coach people that want to get into the pallet industry. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I left there when I was around 10 years old, moved to Savannah, Georgia, and that's where I kind of grew up, and that's kind of what I claim. After I graduated high school from Savannah, I went to college at Tuskegee University. I did my 4 years and got up out of there, and then I moved to Atlanta. Tuskegee is about an hour and a half from Atlanta, so we used to come up from Tuskegee to Atlanta all the time, and it was the closest major city. And then plus, obviously, growing up in Savannah, everybody that lives in Savannah, when they grow up, they want to move to Atlanta. So it was like a logical move for me. Plus, a lot of my friends when I was at Tuskegee at the time were from Atlanta. So it was just a logical move for me. When I got to Atlanta, my first couple of jobs were kind of management jobs. I worked at Walgreens for a while. Then I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. In between that time, I kind of had other little gigs. I was a personal trainer for a while. And then I also had like little side hustles and things of that nature to, keep money in my pocket. And so how I got into the pallet business was basically, as I stated before, I always was doing entrepreneurial type ventures. Before this, Megan and I had a photo booth business together. We had a brief stint where we did like vending machines. Like I said, I was a personal trainer. But at the same time, while I was doing all that stuff, I held down a 9-to-5. But basically during COVID is when I came across the information about the pallet business. Obviously, everybody knows the world kind of shut down at that time. And so Megan and I were both working from home. And for me, anyway, I kind of fell into a bad habit of basically rolling out of the bed right before I had to clock into business. And it wasn't really going anywhere. I was making really good money at the time. I was able to support the family, things of that nature. But in terms of, for myself, it just wasn't where I wanted to be at the time. So I was doing a lot of YouTube University. And I just came across some information about the pallet business. And I remember I told Megan, I said, hey, I think this is a good idea. I don't necessarily know exactly how to proceed forward with it, but I think this might be a good idea. And she encouraged me and she said, hey, go out there and look and see what you can find. And if you really believe that this is something that you can do and that you want to do, then, go for it. So I went out there and I saw that there was a lot of opportunity, within this business model. And I kind of I wanted to dive in head first, but, my wife and all her wisdom, she said, hey, why don't you see if you can get a leave of absence from your job before you just take that dive. And so that's what I did. I applied for leave of absence. I got accepted for the leave of absence. And during that time is when I really went full steam ahead with building the business. And I'll never forget, after my leave of absence ended and I clocked in the very first day after taking, I don't know, 45 days off or something like that, whatever it was an extended period of time. I ended up clocking in and I said, man, I really don't want to do this. And I got a call on my business line for somebody that needed some pallets at the time. And I had an internal decision to make. Will I sit here for a full day's worth of work and make, a couple $100, or can I go get this $100 in about 2 hours? And so I decided at that time to get that couple $100 in those, few hours. And then I remember as soon as I came back home, I told my wife that day, I said, I'm quitting. And she said, go for it. I believe in you. And the rest is history.